China experiences a novel economic transformation that aims to achieve Deng Xiaoping's reform and opening up policies, initiated in the 1990s. The youth in Shanghai, which is a hub of commerce and innovation, and China's most populous city, are the first to experience the changes. The media is buzzing with advertisements on how America is the land to actualize your dreams. They eagerly assimilate this information and develop an interest in Western fashion, music, and entertainment. Many young people in Shanghai aspire to a better life in the USA, seeing it as a land of freedom, enjoyment, and opportunities. Consequently, numerous young people seek ways to emigrate, such as through education, employment, marriage visas, or other illegal routes, despite the challenges they might face. Luchu remains unfazed by the hype around immigrating to the United States, unlike many young people in Shanghai. He is fine with his current situation, since he has a satisfactory job that covers his living expenses. In addition to his satisfaction with his life in China, Luchu despises the enthusiasm surrounding America, stemming from his father's ordeal. Luchu's father left him, his mother, and his younger brother years ago, to search for better opportunities in the United States. He was carried away by the charms of America and gave up his family. However, his father's plan did not go as expected, and he faced difficulties in getting a job. Luchu ends his shift for the day and prepares to leave, when his attention is drawn to a stunning woman descending the staircase, holding a trench coat in one hand. She approaches the reception desk and inquires about the location of the laundry room. Luchu feels compelled to speak to her, an unusual occurrence for him. Though he's encountered many attractive women as an employee at the hotel, he's never felt the urge to become acquainted with any of them. But this lady is different, he can sense it. He positions himself next to her at the laundry area, observing as she deposits the coat for cleaning. The laundry attendant quotes her a price of 100 yuan, causing her expression to darken as she requests to pay upon retrieval. Unfortunately, the laundry attendant declines. With his hand in his pocket, Luchu extracts a bundle of cash and carefully picks out a 100 yuan note to pay for her. He observes her blank expression, detecting a peculiar quality in this young woman. He watches her as she walks out without even uttering a thank you. Upon arriving at the bus station, Luchu catches sight of her waiting for the next bus. He approaches her and attempts to engage in conversation. She stares at him and retrieves 50 yuan from her pocket, handing it to him and insisting that she will repay him the remaining amount. Luchu dismisses her offer, but she counters, stating that she doesn't like to owe anyone. Her tenacity intrigues him. As the bus pulls up to their stop, they both board. Luchu sits down next to her and feels a strong physical connection. When the bus suddenly hits a bump, their eyes meet, and he knows that he must bring her back to his apartment. As they arrive at his apartment, they both begin to kiss passionately, and he takes her into his room. As the night wears on, they become intimate. But in the early morning hours, he hears someone getting ready. He feigns deep sleep while watching her through barely open eyes, as she writes a message on his mirror with her lipstick. She picks her belongings up from the table and exits the door to the cold morning. He knows she is a strange girl. There's something about her that he can't place his finger on, but he wants more than a fling with her. Luchu realizes he didn't ask her name. He hopes to see her soon. Luchu drives in the company car to see his younger brother, who he helped to get employment at the same hotel he works at. He has an important task at hand. He is to receive an important dignitary from the airport to the hotel. However, he first needs to hand over the ashes of his dad, which were handed to his younger brother Kun for safekeeping. As he arrives at the international airport, he spots the guest he is to chauffeur back to the hotel, Mr. Money, a Chinese-American who is also called Mr. Mai. He's a regular guest at the Gordon's Hotel, but the last time he saw him was 2 years ago. He walks with a carriage and smells of affluence. He apologizes for the delayed flight, and Luchu drives him straight to the hotel, where he will be staying for a while. At noon the next day, Luchu visits Uncle Zhu's office at Gordon's Hotel, where they are both employed. Accompanied by his brother Kun, Luchu hands the box to Uncle Zhu. As he prepares to leave, Uncle Zhu requests that Luchu notify him of any travel opportunities to America. Kun appears concerned by this revelation, and expresses his surprise as they exit the room. Luchu reassures his brother that Uncle Zhu has no personal interest in leaving, but rather seeks to help his daughter, who has recently graduated from college. The rush to America is real. At the end of work, Luchu is given a package to hand over to one of Ms. Jin's girls by a guest at the hotel. Ms. Jin runs a modeling and singing club with young, attractive ladies who model clothes and sing at her night shows. This serves as a cover, as she is also a pimp to very wealthy men. As Luchu enters her building, he sees her giving instructions to the ladies, who are preparing for their next fashion show. He hands the package over to the girl from the secret admirer. Ms. Jin has always admired Luchu. She sees him as a hardworking man, who is good-looking and minds his business. She calls him aside, asking him to help her find an assistant, as she is planning to move to a larger space soon. This amuses Luchu. As he descends the stairs, he catches sight of a figure that resembles Juan, the lady he brought home the other night and has been wanting to see again. However, he isn't sure if his mind is playing tricks on him, and he realizes that the woman might not be Juan after all. NYNY is a popular club in Shanghai. And today, Luchu and his brother Kun receive an invitation to the club for a party hosted by Thomas, who has just received his visa to America. He is engaged to an American woman. For some, getting married to a foreigner is a means to fast-track leaving the country. Whether Thomas genuinely loves his fiancée or is using her to leave the country is up for debate. Kun and Luchu arrive at the party scene. There is a lot of talking, dancing, and drinking of alcohol. The music is loud, and everyone seems happy for Thomas. Luchu leaves for the bar area, where he sees Juan with 2 other men. They exchange looks, but don't say a word to each other. After spending some time alone, Luchu is approached by Mr. Mai with a job opportunity. Mr. Mai is establishing a lavish hotel in Manhattan and requires 200 personnel. He requests Luchu's help with recruitment. Luchu is surprised by the proposal and politely declines, stating that he has no intention of traveling to America. Following this, he heads outside. While there, he notices Juan and another man engaged in a heated argument. Intrigued, he observes from a distance. When the man departs, Luchu approaches John with a grin. Juan caught sight of him watching from afar and inquires whether he found their argument entertaining. This elicits a smile from him in return. Juan returns to the club and begins swaying to the slow music. In the meantime, Luchu approaches Thomas, who seems to be inebriated, and informs him that he will not be able to meet him in New York, as he has no interest in emigrating, but will instead take him to the airport the next day. Kun is captivated by the woman he met at the club. He tracks her to the dressing room as she readies herself for the night. He compliments her on her beauty, causing her to chuckle. As she stands to leave, he accompanies her to a taxi and even pays for her fare. Nevertheless, she is still not impressed. As he drops Thomas off at the airport, he realizes that Thomas is getting married to escape the country. He feels pity for him. Since it is his day off, he heads to the barber's for a haircut after leaving the airport. While there, he sees Mr. Mai, who also came for a haircut, discussing his grand hotel project in the USA. When Mr. Mai leaves the salon, the men are singing his praises. Juan spots her mother outside the hotel and realizes why she's there. George, a married man who groped her, reported her to her mom after she slapped him. Knowing her mother is there to reprimand her, Juan becomes annoyed as she listens to her speak. Her mother requests that she apologize to George and be friendly towards him, as he promised to take her abroad. Juan walks away from her mother towards the bus station. While walking, she notices someone following her. It turns out to be Luchu, with whom she had sex without expecting anything in return. Juan admires his demeanor, eyes, and kindness, as not many men treat women with such respect. After their first encounter, she wanted to meet him again, but had to be cautious not to develop any attachment. All Juan desires is an opportunity to leave Shanghai and move to America, particularly New York, to live a good life. The next morning, Luchu is eating the Japanese breakfast Juan prepared for him, and she tells him that it is the repayment for the money she owes him. He likes her a lot, but he also knows she's seeing other men. Before he commits to her, he needs to find a job that can cater adequately for her, so that she stops being at the mercy of men. They spend the night together, and he appreciates she isn't leaving early like she did the last time. There are a lot of things that are on his mind. His brother Kun has been hanging out with the other boys, buying into the frenzy of emigrating to America, and speaking fondly of New York. He doesn't like that. A few days ago, Mr. Mai requested that he go on a ferry ride with him, where he told him about his sojourn to America and how he was determined to make it. He informs him that he will be leaving Shanghai for a while, and leaves his sports car in his care. This made him begin to trust Mr. Mai a bit more. He's also growing fond of Juan, and needs to get her a job soon. Days later, John accompanies Luchu to visit Ms. Jin, and discreetly observes her. She deduces Ms. Jin's profession from her elegant attire. Ms. Jin emphasizes that being her assistant entails more than just physical attractiveness, and requires sharp intellect. She pays Juan a compliment regarding her appearance, and presumes that she is Luchu's girlfriend. Juan refutes the assumption, making Luchu uneasy. Juan proceeds to impress Ms. Jin by discussing her academic credentials and multilingual proficiency. This leaves a positive impression on Ms. Jin. One day at work, a fellow staff member confronts him for refusing to take up the offer to recruit employees to America. Today, while in a taxi with Kun, who tries to persuade him to take up the offer and help with immigration, he still maintains his stance, as Kun angrily asks the taxi to stop and alights in the middle of the road. The pressure to give in intensifies. Luchu remembers that Ms. Jin is hosting a fashion show and decides to go see the show and see Juan afterward. He arrives at the venue and sits with other spectators, and the girls stroll down the aisle one after the other in their seductive attires. He can see how lustful the men look at them. As the last set of girls strolls in, he sees Juan as a model, which pisses him off. This isn't why he brought her here. She's supposed to work as an assistant, not a model for men's pleasure. At the end of the show, Luchu is visibly angry. He goes out and waits for Juan to come out. When he sees Ms. Jin and Juan come out, he quickly confronts her about making Juan catwalk in the presence of men, which isn't part of her job specification as an assistant. Ms. Jin tells him it isn't a big deal, she just walked in, nothing else. This gets him angrier, and he tells her Juan will no longer work with her. Juan is by the corner, listening to them. He goes to where she stands and tells her adamantly that she will no longer work for Jin, as she is not aware of the kind of business Ms. Jin is into, or what she might make her do next. Juan retorts that no one can make her do what she doesn't want to do. Luchu promises her he is capable of taking care of her. Whatever she needs him to do, he will do it. Juan responds by saying she cannot be his wife, watching him open doors to guests every day, whereas there are bigger opportunities outside the country. At this point, it becomes clear to him that Juan will never be his, as long as he stays in Shanghai. Mr. Mai holds his exhibition to attract investors to the grand hotel he's constructing in Manhattan, with the hotel prototype laid in the center. The guests are impressed. Investors who are interested in investing in his building, and the young people of Shanghai who are interested in working at his hotel in America are in attendance. After the last discussion between Luchu and Juan, Luchu gives in to the pressure to work for Mr. Mai. He is at the exhibition, listening to Mr. Mai speak. He meets him after the show and tells him he is willing to work for him now. Luchu can see the excitement on Mr. Mai's face. He is aware he's only taking this job offer to help in recruiting workers for Mr. Mai, and to prove himself to Juan. Mr. Mai invites him to his office and tells him there are many variables involved, and if he plans to take a cut from the job, he should let him know. Luchu retorts that if he wanted more money, he would bow more for more tips. He tells him he will help him recruit people, because he has seen how desperate people are to leave the country. Mr. Mai then picks up a silver wristwatch from the table and places it on Luchu's wrist, telling him to always remember New York time. A few weeks later, Luchu is with Kai, a man who comes with a box of dollar bills from different applicants who want to be enlisted. Luchu refuses this, stating that all applicants must meet the requirements. Mr. Mai isn't happy that the recruitment process isn't going as far as he wants. He sends Kun to Luchu to learn what progress he is making, and what is causing the delay. As Kun and his brother work, Uncle Zhu walks in with his daughter's credentials, pleading that his daughter be included. In the next scene, Ms. Jin meets a friend of hers who is interested in supporting her business, but first, he wants to be alone with her assistant Juan. Ms. Jin goes to the reception arena. A few minutes later, Juan walks out angrily, followed by the enraged client, whom she slapped for slapping her when they were inside. Juan sits and begins to cry, while being comforted by Ms. Jin, who tells her own story of survival. Ms. Jin drops Juan home, and before she drives off, she advises Juan to hold on to Luchu for her own good. Juan tells Luchu about her encounter with her boss's client. She wants Luchu to confront the man and beat him up. Luchu tells her that he will never allow anyone to bully her. She suggests that they all leave for New York, like the others are doing, as she is tired of the obstacles she faces. Luchu insists that they stay in Shanghai. He says he knows she is only with him as a means to get to America. Hearing this makes him really sad. She tells him she once asked him to marry her, but he refused. The only reason he insists on staying is that he is respected here, and will be her equal in New York, which he doesn't want. He questions her why she always tells him to look at her, and always remember her face. She responds by saying that they are not meant to be together forever. It is just a matter of time before they separate, as everyone who has traveled to America has someone they truly loved back home. She picks up her bag and leaves his house. Juan has some money that she is saving for her trip to America. She had painstakingly put every yuan to use for this purpose. Initially, she is happy that Luchu can help her leave the country. He works in a grand hotel, and may have contacts that can aid in her quest to leave. She realizes that she is gradually falling in love with him, and that he is unwilling to make any move to exit Shanghai, no matter how hard she compels him. She must take matters into her own hands, even if it means losing him for life. Love is a luxury she cannot afford. Her future is a priority. As she walks into Mr. Mai's office, she sees him standing by the window. She senses something sinister in his eyes that she cannot put her finger on. She tells him about her intention to leave, but she is short of money. He looks at her with expressionless eyes and tells her that she's lucky someone has paid for her. This scene shows Juan, who is currently packing her belongings at her mother's residence, and informs her mother that she intends to relocate to New York to stay with an acquaintance. However, her mother has a hunch that Juan is being dishonest, and suggests that she finds a good man in New York and sticks to him. She hasn't been lucky with love, but she hopes her daughter has a better fate. This suggestion leaves Juan feeling sad, but she assures her mother that she will come back for her once she settles in. Juan and Mr. Mai are flying to New York today. She hasn't seen or spoken to Luchu since the last time they met. He paid for her travel expenses, and she feels guilty that she may never see him again. He is the only man who has ever genuinely loved her. Meanwhile, Kun is seeing his girlfriend today. He has missed her a lot. He goes over to her hostel to give her the money she requested. As he sees her, he knows something is up. She informs him that she has passed her English exam, and has been offered admission to study in America. This breaks Kun's heart. Some weeks after Juan and Mr. Mai leave for New York, a lot happens. Luchu realizes that Mr. Mai swindles unsuspecting people of their money. The whole hotel construction in America and the need for employees was all an elaborate scam by Mr. Mai. Hundreds of people who pay immigration fees to Luchu with the hope of immigrating to America to work at the new Grand Hotel in Manhattan are demanding their money to be returned. The money he has given to Mr. Mai. Luchu is sad, as he has been questioned several times over his alleged involvement. For all they know, he is the face of the scam. Mr. Mai prepares a visa for Luchu to escape to America before he is apprehended and mobbed by those scammed. As soon as Luchu arrives in New York, he is picked up by Thomas, who tells him how Mr. Downey, who is Mr. Mai's boss, rescued him from a mafia group that confiscated his passport and locked him in a room. He asks about Juan, as he has missed her terribly and can't wait to see her. He is not impressed by New York. Thomas knows where Juan is. He knows she works as an assistant to Mr. Downey. He saw her the night before and told her about Luchu's arrival. She gave him some money and insisted that he not disclose her whereabouts. Luchu has been miserable since he arrived in New York. He decides to search for Juan. He spots her with Mr. Mai and Downey at an event they hosted. In this scene, Juan is in her room when she feels a presence behind her. She turns and sees Luchu standing there. He tells her he has come to bring her home. She declines, telling him he should go back, as she is living a different life here, the life she has always dreamt of. As she's about to leave, Luchu pins her to the wall, and they both kiss passionately. Suddenly, Mr. Mai enters the room. He sees Luchu, who is visibly enraged. Mr. Mai mocks him, saying that Juan will never go with him, that she belongs there. Luchu brings out the watch that Mr. Mai gifted him, and asks him to take it back. Mr. Mai moves closer, and Luchu pushes him to the ground. Juan is pleading with him to stop. He pulls a gun from his pocket, then points the gun at Juan, threatening to shoot her, as she has become Downey's favorite. Luchu grabs the gun and shoots him in the end. The blast of the gun attracts the attention of Downey, who is downstairs. Juan grabs his hand as they begin running. As they are about to cross the last gate, Juan closes the gate against Luchu, who is surprised by her change of heart. He begs for them to leave together, and as he screams her name, she kisses him and asks him to go. She stays to take back everything they lost. She goes back to see Downey, who is angry at her for shooting Mr. Mai. Then she hears the gunshot and runs out, only to see Luchu bleeding out gunshot injury. Her heart breaks into million pieces as she stares at his body. 10 years later, Juan is now an established New Yorker. She informs Luchu's brother, Kun, that she will be bringing over his cremated remains. Kun is heartbroken. He will receive his brother's ashes, just like he did his dad. He only wishes his brother never fell in love and never traveled, for Juan was the reason for his demise.